John, over to you. Previously South Africa was known, or Johannesburg for that matter, was known as dark, dangerous Africa. How can we come to the city? How can we visit? But I think that's a thing of the past. Is it safe to say that's a thing of the past? Post-World Cup, have we seen a significant increase in tourism to the country after the World Cup?
Well, of course, the figures peaked during the World Cup, and certainly there has been an increase on the original numbers ever since, but not quite to the levels that we had during the World Cup. And of course, that's what we will work towards, getting figures to those levels permanently, and then of course higher than that as well.
Lindiwe, is perception still an issue? Is it a problem?
Not to a certain degree. Obviously, as you have indicated, Jackie, earlier on, that before the World Cup, we had the whole world thinking, "Ooh, I can't go to Joburg. It's an unsafe destination to go to." And thanks to the opportunity of hosting a spectacular World Cup, because now we have changed the perceptions and the stereotypes about South Africa as a whole, but Joburg to be specific. And again, I just got back from ITB in Berlin, and we were talking to inbound tour operators. Most of them, they wanted to know what we've got to offer as a destination. They are more excited about Joburg, and I think for us, you can never put money into that, because the perceptions can be real, especially when you are dealing with international consumers around the world. So for us, really, we believe that the World Cup has done wonders for us, and just the atmosphere and the energy in the country, it's much better from a travel point of view.
But don't you think the job only starts now?
Absolutely.
It's a continuous process.
It's about leveraging from that opportunity. It's about sustaining the momentum. But also, we can never be complacent, because there are other emerging destinations around the world that are really upping their game. So for us, we are now on the international radar. We are up there, so we can only up our game on a continuous basis.
Let's speak to Desmond. Desmond, from an airline point of view and your experience in terms of volumes, did you see a significant increase in volumes on post the World Cup?
We saw a big increase in terms of international travellers, obviously. The domestic market tend to fall a bit and stagnate. However, the interesting thing that we are seeing at the moment, and probably 2 months post-World Cup, has been a lot more inquiries from foreign operators with regards to flights within South Africa and the destination. So certainly from our side, I would say post-World Cup event, very promising for us.
And that's what we want to see, isn't that true?
Absolutely.
Isn't that true? So Lindiwe, your job is to go abroad and then market Johannesburg as a city, for travellers or potential travellers. How do you go about marketing Johannesburg as a city?
Firstly, Jackie, we need to understand that we are South Africa first before we become Joburg. That's why there's SA Tourism. Obviously, they are responsible for brand South Africa. But obviously, Joburg has a very significant role that it plays in the South African context as well as in the entire continent as an economic hub of the continent as well as of the country. Obviously, primarily we position Joburg as a business tourism destination. Our focus is meetings, incentive, conferencing, and exhibition and events, obviously. But we want to leverage off business tourism to increase our leisure tourism market share. But also, if you look at all the destinations around the world, it's actually just destinations with a very strong domestic tourism base that are able to sustain themselves. Yes, international arrivals are key for us because of the spend, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we're sustaining our market share through an increased domestic tourism base. And right now, we are second. KwaZulu-Natal is the leader in terms of the domestic, yes, but we are leaders on the international side. But we are second. We command 20% from a domestic market point of view. So we're not doing bad as a destination. And again, I think Joburg is the only cosmopolitan city in the country, and the energy, we may not have the natural attributes, but in terms of our offerings and the infrastructure that we have, I really think that people are now seeing us in a different light, and we're up for any challenge.
John, your thoughts on that?
Well, in fact, it's interesting listening to Lindiwe, because I worked for SA Tourism many, many years ago, more than 30 years ago. And in those days, we regarded Johannesburg as a commercial hub only. And so by any tourists coming to the country only used the airport as a stop-off point to catch a flight elsewhere or pick up a vehicle to go elsewhere. That's all changed, and it's remarkable how much it has changed over the years, and how Johannesburg now is in fact becoming a destination that's not only desirable for overseas visitors, but for South Africans, you know, to come up from Cape Town or Durban or wherever for events. And of course, the World Cup was a typical example of a big event. But we were talking about the Jazz Festival earlier on, and promoting the Jazz Festival in Johannesburg. Yeah. That will bring a huge amount of people.
These attractions, and that was my next question to Lindiwe, is the attractions in Johannesburg. How do you hook a business traveller from overseas to stay for another day or two?
And just saying that, because one of our payoff line is to say enjoy another day in Joburg, because again it's about increased length of stay and spend.
Right.
And obviously for us, when we're bidding for major events, we always ensure that we push the social programs, the pre and post tours. And again, we look at ourselves as a gateway to South Africa and to the rest of the continent. But again, it's about lingalonga. It's no longer about people using us as a thoroughfare, as John has indicated. So for us, really, we've packaged ourselves from a lifestyle perspective in terms of culture, heritage, nightlife, you know, and again, we believe that we've got such sophisticated products, and also we're big in terms of township tourism. And again, we've begun to really push those, because we want people, when they're here for 5 days or even 6 days, we want them to spend at least 2.5 or 3 days in Joburg, and then we send them to Sun City, to Kruger National Park or Cape Town, because again, it's about the overall the country winning as a whole, because there's a need for a geographic spread, and we also believe in experiential marketing beyond boundaries.
I want to talk to Desmond about the recession. And obviously with a recession, leisure travel becomes a luxury. You know, just how much were you as an airline affected during the recession, Desmond?
To be honest, I think as a low-cost carrier, we were actually very fortunate in that we benefited from it. And I think, you know, if you look at the statistics, the low-cost airlines continue to grow even when the market was shrinking. Certainly from a low-cost sort of perspective, we saw a lot of cost saving from large corporate clients. So that shift did move on to us. But funny enough, we never really saw a drop in local tourism. I think what happened was we have a tour operator arm called Thompsons Holidays as well. And you know, all the suppliers were sort of coming together, everyone that was hit in the recession in terms of hotels and airline seats. So a lot of that distressed inventory we were able to put together with ourselves, as well as with partners like Thompsons, and really promote domestic tourism as well. So it was good for the country as well. I think also with that recession, people were looking for more affordable holidays, and they were also staying closer to home. So we didn't really see a negative on it.
That's the thing, is that people then want value for money. But Desmond, did you, in terms of your marketing campaigns, then have to change your strategy to actually, you know, let people know that it is value for money and hammer that point home?
Funny enough, the people were actually doing a lot of hunting themselves, we found. So, you know, there were certain destinations that we were offering, and people coming through and saying, well, what about this? You know, we're tired of that destination, we want to look at other places. And we found the market actually more proactive than probably what the suppliers were able to do at that stage. I think nobody had really expected the recession in such a rush. We were sort of caught by surprise. So we did a quick turnaround and we started pushing out, but at the end of the day it was value that ruled. It was affordability with a certain sort of quality level involved that really drove people.
From your side, John, you know, in terms of marketing campaigns, and what did you do when the recession hit? Did you stop, you know, communicating? Did you increase your communication more on a cost saving, you know, basis? What did you guys do?
Obviously, you know, cost was a huge
because budgets are cut.
Budgets were cut.
What do you do?
So we spent the money very, very carefully and very wisely, but we certainly continued to advertise. We never stopped, and we never stopped our promotions either. What did, of course, there are a couple of things that have come out of this recession, and one of them is that there's a tendency to last-minute booking, and as Desmond would agree, I'm sure, and all our other suppliers, hoteliers and car hire firms, it is preferable to have a bit of advance warning.
Absolutely.
And so we try to reverse that trend slowly and get the public to book a little earlier, and so we obviously do things to tempt them to book earlier. That is certainly the one trend. The other trend is that there's a move towards experiential travel, and that's the new buzzword in travel, and that is that gone are the days of just going to a destination and sitting on a beach for a week and chilling out. Yes, it's a great thing to do, but I think really people want more value, as Desmond said, for their money, and they want to see more. So the move afoot now is to really get to see things, learn more about the place that you're in, learn about the history. You don't have to necessarily go to a museum, but learn more about the place, the culture, the food, even learn to cook the food of the place that you're in at the time. And so that's becoming very, very popular with a demand for activities every day. It might be kayaking or fishing or something like that. And of course, we are feeding the public information on those type of holidays, and it's working very well.